We're live.
I think so.
uh, Excellent. Testing out a new full setup with StreamYard. So forgive us if there's technical hiccups along the way, but this is Guillermo and I's first Wednesday wrap up live stream with video.
Yeah,
First time I get to
man.
see your face, man. It's usually just your
Yeah.
lovely voice.
Live streams, man. It's I haven't done a live stream in probably a year. It's a nostalgic throwback for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
This will
yeah.
be fun.
And we're going everywhere. We're going to like Twitch and LinkedIn and um, Facebook and Instagram and I don't know. Sheila got us super set up on everything. So and
Very
Twitter, of
cool.
course. So also, I think typically, just to say at the top of this, well, I'll give the intro. So this is
Mhm.
our Wednesday wrap up. We do this once a month. I'm Josh. I'm the CEO of Stuff.io and Book.io, and this is Guillermo, our CTO. We do this once a month. We do a Wednesday wrap up where we talk a little more technical and product about what we built, and it's a bit more nerdy than some of our more content kind of related spaces and stuff that we do. So if you have a question along the way, what we usually do is take one question at the end of our rambling about what happened in the prior month. But since we're not doing it as an X space only, we can actually see the live feed, and we'll take questions from our live feed. So I can see Jay Marie's here. What's up, Jay Marie? Um, so yeah, with that intro, yeah, we're streaming across all these platforms at once. So you want to kick it off, and let's just jump in and talk about what we did in November, I guess.
Yeah. Oh, cool. I can.
There's all kinds of tools and fun stuff.
Yeah. No, yeah. Sweet. Yeah. Hello. Sweet. I can connect my YouTube account. Fantastic. All right. Yeah, so let's go ahead and jump in. Yeah, there you go. Nice. Let's go ahead and jump in. So yeah, like Josh said, we do this every month. This is a little bit different than last month. I think it also works nicely with it being our last one of the year, because we did one just a couple of weeks ago because we were late with a couple of things going on in the Cardano Summit and all of that. And so normally we have like a full month of stuff to talk about. And now it's only been a couple of weeks since we got back together. So I think we'll probably do it a little bit differently than we normally do, or we'll go through some of the things that we've been working on and things that are coming down the line. And then I think it'd probably be good um, for us to, I know you and I were chatting about this before, but for folks sort of what to expect, like it'd be good for us to kind of like reflect back a little bit on the year and where we're going and stuff like that. So it actually kind of works out nicely that we
Yep.
had a little bit less in terms of build time since the last time. So um, yeah, let's go ahead and jump into it. One of the things that I know that Ben passed along to us, we want to make sure that we share, is to give some props to the song team and song market cap, and big props to them. If I don't know if you want to talk about it, but I'm happy to.
I mean,
I
say
don't
what
know,
you
why don't
want,
you go
man.
ahead? You're
Say
the
say what you want, and
CEO.
then I'll add some stuff. Go ahead.
Fair enough. So
Yeah.
props to them. Obviously, those are big supporters of the project, and we are happy to also support them. If you guys haven't seen, if you go to snack.fun and you filter it by the completed projects and look at it by market cap, the song market cap team and the song token is the largest snack.fun project right now across all of them by market cap. So huge props to those guys. Absolutely just grinding after it, just constantly putting out new content. Has a very strong community that's been following them and purchasing those all the songs that they're putting out, and a real great like use case for the platform and what it is, right? Where you and I talk about this all the time, Josh, in terms of like, that if people come in with a dedicated community and they're constantly putting out stuff, like we are the platform for them. And these guys have shown how in a very organic way, coming from a Web3 first background, but and even then showing how that works and how a community can come together. And yeah, so anyway, I just wanted to say props to those guys. Really, really big accomplishment.
No, for sure.
Yeah.
I'll add to that too. Yeah, big congrats to those. The whole team, like, no jury's been busting it for a long time to get this thing going, and I think And quite honestly, it's like we use you guys as an example when we're talking to labels. Like we've talked to some really big labels and have mentioned uh, mentioned you guys as a case study multiple times because it does. I think it does illustrate it, and it is like truly like a really cool thing that it is at the top of the list now because it shows that if you're building if you're focused on building a community, if you back those assets with actual media cells, it's game changer, right? It's not just not to bag on meme tokens, right? But song is not a meme token. It's a whole community, and it's a community based on media, right? Based on the selling actual songs, using the revenue from that to buy and burn song token. And yeah, it's fantastic. Like I think it's really cool. And like honestly, like just exceptionally happy that we're able to this platform that Guillermo and I have been working on building these last many years are it's starting to get used in really cool ways. And yeah, just very honored to be helpful and participatory in that because it's a huge case study, especially for smaller artists, right? Like we use that. We use mics a lot too as an example. Yeah, they're great examples, right? And I think that it kind of goes into our broader vision, right? Of like how do we become uh, the platform for creators, and not whether they want to use AI or they don't want to use AI. If they want to sell video, if they want to sell music, if they want to sell books, if they want to sell podcasts, any type of content, it's really cool to see the platform growing and being used this way. So yeah, shout out big time to those guys. Appreciate you guys.
Yeah, 100%. I think to your point too, it's like, whether it's something that is done by hand or with AI or whatever. I mean, that's between the creator and their audience, right? We're just here to just help them just get the stuff out there. And so it's 100%. Fully the discretion of the creators and what they think their audience wants. And clearly the Song Market Cap team has tapped into an audience that is very supportive and interested in that. So awesome. You know what I mean? Like good for them. That's fantastic. So yeah, lots of respect for that. So
absolutely.
Cool. Yeah, I wanted to start there. A great, like I said, great case study in the community who are using what we build every day, and it's very, very cool. So, yeah, so I had to talk about like some of the stuff that we've been working on in the past few weeks, and then maybe at the tail end or the sort of second half, we can talk a little bit more about some of the other things we have coming up and some of the stuff that we've worked on throughout the year. So
for sure.
So one of them from a full stack perspective, we've talked about it a little bit for a while, but now I'm happy to say that Send to Friend is now in test. We've been working really closely with the guys at TX Pipe and working with their TX3 library, actually with several of their libraries with TX3 so that is for the transaction construction, with Palace, which is their library for creating and managing Cardano wallets, with their deployed platform Demeter Run, which hosts the Dolus Rust node to submit transactions onto the network. So a lot of different parts from TX Pipe's library coming together to support Send to a Friend. Yeah, so we're working with them. I think to my knowledge, kind of like with what you and I were talking about, similarly how it went with Aiken, I think we're probably going to be the largest project using this in production, like at scale, their new TX3 library. And so with that, for folks that are following along and, including Nacho and our test team, it's a double-edged sword with doing some of this bleeding edge stuff. And part of it is that we are working with them and finding like edge cases and stuff as we test this stuff. And they're being really good partners and working through it. I know they actually have right now 2 different pull requests, one to each of 2 different libraries on fixes that they're putting in based on stuff that we found with Send to Friend. So that is in test. It will shortly go to alpha testing inside of the company, and then from there we'll start working with some of our closed beta testers to go from there. That being said,
Nacho's good at breaking our stuff and other people's stuff.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I invited him to the TX Pipe room. I'm like, hey man, just tell them directly the dreams that you're killing, Yeah, so with that, and then, I think also to set proper expectations for folks, like we have a lot of things that Josh is going to mention at the tail end here that we also have that are ramping up. And so I wouldn't be surprised if like we get this merged in, we start doing some like initial testing, and it kind of like stays in alpha and beta testing for a while before we really start rolling this out in a larger degree. But the cool thing is that we know that the capability and the technology is there, and then we're just going to figure out how we operationalize it and roll it out, likely like after the new year. But I'm really excited that the actual infrastructure and all of it is in place, and we've got it actually into testing now, and it's deployed and working. So yeah. For those that are curious in terms of how send to a friend is going to work, we're going to start it with send a DEA to a friend via email. So the way that's going to work is that, and with self-directed wallets first to start. So any assets you have in your self-directed wallets, you'll be able to go and click send. From there, it'll ask you to enter an email address of who you want to send it to, and put in their information in terms of their names, how you want your name represented. For example, like, Josh, if you're sending it to Ben, you might, send it from your buddy Josh. If you're sending it to your kids, you might send it from dad, right? And so we don't necessarily want to assume how you want that to appear. So you'll enter their name, your name, the email address you want to send it to, and optionally like a note to fire it off. Then what actually happens is, from there, we take the transaction, we send it into a wallet that we're holding the asset for the person to claim. And what the person will get is an email with an actual promo code that will utilize our existing promo code system. And so when they click on that, it takes them to a redemption page where the code is auto-filled. And then when they claim it, if they have an account, then it'll just keep going. If not, it'll ask them to make an account, and then it'll go from that wallet to their new self-directed wallet they've created. So effectively, when we do it that way, you can now send any of your DEAs to anybody in a Web 2 kind of way that doesn't need to know anything about blockchains or wallets or any of that stuff. So
I was just thinking how I could maybe troll this too, which might be another way that we need to look at. So if I want to send something to Ben and I'm like, yeah, it's I type it's from me. Can I type it's from anybody?
Yes, but it's still coming from your email address.
Okay, it does come from my email address.
Yeah. So
I just wanted to make sure I couldn't send him some nefarious content for fun and tell him it's from his mom or something.
Well, I guess that's interesting. Yeah, let's see. We're figuring this out in real time. So it'll say it's from you. That's fair, and we do send you a copy. But I guess currently there is no confirmation. Yes, that's a good point. I think what we'll do is it's interesting, right? Because it's an interesting point you break up, because so on the one hand, right, it could be easy to say like this coming from Josh, and here's his email address if you want to ask him any questions or whatever. But on the other hand, I don't necessarily know that we would want to be just like giving up email addresses like that, right? So yeah, I think you could just, if you want to, you could just anonymously send people stuff and just put a different name. You could send Ben something really weird and say it's from his mom,
That's true. Okay.
Ben loves when we mention his mom on these things. So it's just,
just always thinking about his mom,
Anyway, yeah, so that's how Send to a Friend's going to work. It's in testing now. I expect we'll, for those of you that have worked and helped us test stuff in the past, I expect that we will probably have you guys start messing with that here in the next couple of weeks. But yeah, really exciting stuff. And we'll keep you posted as that rolls out. From an Android side, we're continuing forward with Android Auto and working through some different things there. And then also on the front end, we've started doing some initial like mock-up work on the front end for what we're calling launch.stuff, which is basically the full streamlined end-to-end creator portal. So where basically the idea there being that somebody can come in and all of our disparate tools that we have right now. So we have like the creator portal upload. We have internally what we call Sprout, which is what takes all the different pieces of a DEA and then uploads it to IPFS and does all the different things that need to happen. And then the actual Parliament campaign creation. Launch.stuff is the unification of these three different tools that we have so that it's like a fully streamlined end-to-end process. That's going to be a very large endeavor that it's going to take, on the order of a few months to build all the way through. But our front-end guys are starting to build out the actual like UI for how that is going to build out. So that's going to, throughout the end of the year here, we're sort of slowly chipping away at that. We got some other things that are going to be coming in, but I want to make you guys aware that initial work on launch.stuff has officially kicked off. The other piece too is just some additional tooling that we've built on the back end. So one of the things that we do when we're generating these things for video and audio is make a specific kind of file called an LPF. That was something that like similar things that those of you that have been listening to us doing these this recap every month for almost 2 years now. I guess we've been doing this.
Yeah.
Yeah, didn't we start it in like January of
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think
24?
we're just about to our 2 year here.
Next year will be 2 years. So,
Yep.
so for those of you that have been like following along for the past couple of years, right? A big theme that we've had is a lot of these things we build in the dev side, and they're things that like only the dev team can do. And then as we start like really like polishing the process of it, we operationalize it so that the folks then on the operations team or on the marketing team can use those different tools that we can make for them, and it doesn't have to fall like as a dev task. So one of them is the LPF generation for video and audio to prepare things that come in from the creator portal, which will eventually also be used for launch.stuff. Yeah, so I mean, it's only been a couple of weeks since the last time we talked, but that's the sort of a lot of the big things that we're working on right now. One of the things I think is really interesting is like that you and I were talking about a lot is I know a lot of the conversations that you're having right now, similar to how Send a Friend under the hood is powered by our existing promo code system. I don't know if you wanted to talk a little bit about some of the conversations that you've been having about promo codes. And it's funny because it's something that we did way back in the day for Consensus in Austin as a partnership.
Like 2023 maybe?
Yep, it was right after I joined. And it was we did it in Consensus in Austin, and it was with a partnership that we did with Algorand. And that was we kind of just pulled a few all-nighters leading up to that to get the promo code system launched. And since then, we've added promo codes to every chain. We haven't added it yet to Solana, but we're going to. But for something that we've just kind of like taken for granted as a feature that we just kind of tack on for a lot of things that we go to. I know you've been having a lot of really interesting conversations in terms of how we can utilize. You and I joke a lot about how we've built a lot of different companies as features. You know, we're like, hey, here's this cool thing. All right, now on to the next thing. And how for some of these things, they could be their own standalone companies. And I know that you're having some interesting conversations these days in terms of for some of these features that could be companies, how actually looking at productizing them and working with interested parties. So maybe you can talk a little bit about that with the promo.
No, 100%. Like I think I'd maybe mentioned about, maybe I did. I can't remember if I did or not, but you know, we'd put together kind of a features grid too by blockchain of like all the chains we support and what features exist on what chains, and then we did it's kind of a further breakdown because you know, so if I back up a little, right, we went to we sponsored a conference in LA. I think it was maybe the first week of November. I might have talked about it on the November wrap up since we did it later. I can't remember if I did or not, but yeah, we sponsored an event called Music Tectonics, and it's sort of like the merging of, or the intersection of music and technology. So tons of tons of labels, tons of artists, tons of actually even just like hardware companies too, not just software, right? It's like pioneers there with like their newest stuff, like all kinds of interesting things. Lots of AI stuff, but like the general theme, I'd say, of a lot of the panels and not just like conversations we were having, just like other conversations like periphery, was all about direct to consumer. It was like the number one thing that literally every label, every manager, every artist is trying to figure out is, hey, how do we go direct to consumer, because they're not making any money from streaming, right? So and they think about direct to consumer obviously different than we do, because they're thinking about direct to consumer of like, hey, how do we sell more t-shirts, how do we you know, how do we sell more, you know, merchandise from our website, how do we sell more concert tickets, you know, how do we get first party data, like how do we get access to, you know, our list of fans in a way that we can actually communicate with them, right? So it was like, it was kind of ridiculous because it was like the easiest tee up for what we're doing. And you know, we give away, like I've got some cards here. I don't think I have the card that we gave away at Music Tectonics, but you know, we gave away a card there, you know, similar to these types of cards, right? So there's like, you know, there's a card with like a single or something, and then there's like a QR code on the back, and you can go scan it and redeem it. And we do these things at a lot of conferences, and we've had different artists use them, like the Cardano Summit. Actually, the Cardano Foundation was using cards to give away a copy of a book that they have. So they're very useful. We never, you know, we used it as a sort of, I don't know, like promotional tool it's like a fun, a fun way to distribute. And actually, if you back way up to NFT LV 2022, that was the first time that we did any type of giveaway, and we actually like
Yeah,
printed seed phrases on the back of cards, and
that's right.
uh,
Yeah.
and that was when we did the first
Meditations.
meditations,
Yeah.
and so you kind of fast forward that, and like the product kind of cycle of that, and adding all these different, enabling all the different chains, like building that out more fully, where we can like customize it in a way where we were approaching it in a way of, hey, if we're giving away a particular book or something, which I think we did some of that when we sponsored a cover on Publishers Weekly, and added some tools so that we could, I don't know if that was then when we added the branding tools or not, but basically, you can add like a header across the top that matches whatever that branding is.
Yeah.
And then you can kind of customize the page and like, make it sort of match more like that property of whatever the thing is that you're giving it away. And so, as we started having a lot of conversations with a lot of labels, and I mean, I talked to all three of the big labels, and tons of others, 100% across the board. Like they're all interested in this, direct to consumer. And so a lot of those conversations started turning into, hey, what do you guys do? Is there like a white labeling, or is there like a B2B or SaaS type of thing? And we hadn't really like approached anybody with that sort of, capability set from that framework, right? So, and I think that as we've had a lot of follow-up conversations with lots of investors, labels, artists, everybody like across the board, I think there's like huge potential for a, like I would say, like a B2B to C, right, where it's like we're working with and I'll give you a practical example, right? Like there's a few different merchandise companies now that we're talking to that, from a B2B perspective, right, what they basically want to do is they want to purchase in bulk codes from us that they then would distribute to artists that they work with, right? So whether that's the artist delivering those codes via social media, or from their own Shopify websites, or live and concerts, or giveaways like cards like we're doing, they could kind of use those however they want, right? So the true benefit to us then, right, is like then we have new users coming into the platform, right? Because at the end of the day, they resolve to become like stuff users. They use the Stuff app, but all of this infrastructure that we kind of built around, to a certain extent, like our own kind of internal giveaway mechanisms, and making it so that an artist could give something away, like we can sort of repurpose from an enterprise perspective, which I think is seeming like it's going to bring a tremendous amount of value, and quite honestly, just like larger contracts of like how we can onboard people that have large catalogs and lots of artists and want to push them over here in a way, and gives it an easier kind of onboarding ramp, right? Because you don't need to know crypto or anything when you're using a code. You just, end user goes in and punches in the code. We built out actually, and one thing that you didn't mention that Futz did, right, was building because a lot of artists have Spotify, or not Spotify, they all have Spotify, I guess.
Yeah.
They all have Shopify websites, right? So, and we have our merch Shopify website. If you need some merch for Christmas, you should go get some.
Mm-hmm.
Shameless merch plug. But all of them have these Shopify websites where they're trying to sell, vinyl albums, or now they're trying to sell cassette tapes. A lot of them even try to, they'll try to sell just a digital download, and it's just like raw MP3 files, which immediately you've lost control of your IP when you're selling that, right? And you're right back to the Napster days of file sharing. So this gives them the ability to, and what Futz built out was basically a version of where we could, because you guys have done a lot of work on the back end of all of this promotional stuff too, right? Like stuff that we don't really talk about to the audience, because it's like, I don't know, it's sort of more internal, just like administration. Like it's not that, not that fun kind of stuff, but it's like there's a lot of tooling that's gone into this. So it's like on the back end, the business team can go in and like generate these codes. They can generate a big number of them. We usually generate a big number of them because we send them to print for some particular thing that we're doing, but we've never really said like, hey, let's generate 100,000 or 1,000,000 of them, because we're going to give them to such and such label, and they're going to then allocate like to what extent, what asset or video or album or single or whatever they want to use to distribute that, right? So fantastic for us, because essentially from a business standpoint, when you look at it, it's like basically a net positive user acquisition, right? Like we're getting paid to get new users into the ecosystem and grow the platform, which is fantastic. So a lot, I've had a lot of actually have had some conversations with some very high level, like the heads of gigantic music organizations, and all of them are. It's kind of funny because it's like it's a bit of the imposter syndrome, right? It's like I should not be the one like telling this person anything, right? But they're like, we're super interested in blockchain, like we're all of our teams are really looking into it, we're trying to dig in, we're trying to learn, and I think a lot of it honestly too is like the benefit that we get of this macro environment, right? Of like which Bitcoin has it's been a bit rocky the last several weeks since whenever October 5th or whatever, but still, right, it's like then you get the ETF news yesterday. There's constantly stuff coming out on the AI side, like Warner just did a big thing with Suno, I think, on the AI music side, where they're going to let Warner musicians license their likeness to any creator to create prompt-based AI stuff using their stuff, and then attribute some revenue back to them. So there's a ton of stuff happening, and we happen to be like right in the in the middle intersection of Web3, like cutting edge technology and digital media, and so it's allowing us to have a lot of really cool conversations where, I don't know, thinking about our business in a different way, where it's like we're still a platform, we're still building out the launch dot stuff and like the creator portal side, and like firmly believe in all that, but our capability to take existing tools that we have and sort of repurpose them in a B2B sort of SaaS way to simultaneously allow us to grow the platform and grow revenue is really it's freaking fantastic.
I mean, to your point, like the with what we call internally, what we call branded promo codes, right? For that, like in terms of like a white label branding for these different companies, there's not really much we need to do at all, right? Like it's just kind of like
it's
already done. We were already, to your point, we were doing it because we thought it would look cool for Publishers Weekly to be branded for Publishers Weekly, and then when we for Rare, we did a promo code with the Rare guys, and we're like, oh yeah, it would look cool if it was branded for Rare. But so now,
and never really were like, hey, you know what? Maybe we should package this up and sell it.
Yeah,
it was just like
because that's the whole because the whole thing is that like for people that then come and claim it, if you're a fan of whatever artists or whatever industry or whatever else, like you don't really have any notion that they're even using stuff. You're just kind of like, yeah, okay, this artist or this person or whoever gave me this code to claim, and I want to be able to hear it. And it's okay, I'm on some website, like who cares? I see their logo, I see the whole thing, and now I get to like play and listen to the song or the movie or whatever. So I think it's really cool. Some of the stuff that we've, in its simplest iteration, we built it, almost more than like 2.5 years ago. But it's cool with some of these things as they've been iterating and kind of like coming together and coming into their own. We can take things off the shelf.
We ended up sort of like going back, and we even like kind of rebuilt part of it, because I don't know. It's just funny when you look back on it, right? Like hindsight's 2020, right? But it's like, to your point, it's like, like 2.5 years of like having this product that we like built and refined and like, updated and then kind of rebuilt and then, refined and like built administration tools. And like, now we like have this, this whole kind of product setting here that we're like, we never really like tried to directly monetize this in an interesting way. So anyway, I feel like we rambled about that for quite a while, but
but I think it's a cool thing, right? So I think for folks that have been like following along, especially like on these recaps for the past couple of years, they've been hearing all of these iterative things and sort of following along with that journey where it's like you kind of sometimes lose track of the aggregate, and sort of like that whole idea of like the whole being more than the sum of all different parts of the features that have added together for it, and how it's just become this much larger thing. And I think we're going to find increasingly, like to your point about when you and I were talking about that sort of that features matrix, and then Nacho put it together is very impressive to see. I think we're going to see it more and more.
I wonder how can I post that in here? Maybe Sheila knows how I can do that.
But I think it's cool.
It's a PDF because I think it is cool because it's like when you really break it down, it's like kind of to your point too, right? It's like, you could isolate one row from this thing, and one blockchain, and say that's going to be our whole business. All we're going to do is this one thing, and like I don't know, over the course of 4.5 years of like basically heavy R&D and project-based testing, like we've built a tremendous amount of really cool stuff.
Yeah, and so it's just cool now, like seeing how some of these conversations are coming full circle, where when we're talking about the things that we build, how some folks are really coming to appreciate, like, oh wow, hey, just that one thing you mentioned, can we just like do that? Can we like make that like something that we can use? So yeah.
Yep. Let me see. I'm going to take a screenshot of this and see if I can give it to Sheila, and maybe she'll figure out how to post it. I don't think I'm sharing anything I'm not supposed to, but sometimes I tend to share stuff that I'm not supposed to, so that's fine. I'm not announcing a book con or anything, so
at least not on purpose.
Not on purpose.
Yeah.
When we have stuff con though, it's gonna be dope.
That'll be fun. That'll be good.
What else we got to talk about? I have a couple other things, but I don't know what else you have on your list.
No, I mean so on my list, like I said, it was a short month from like the building side, but I thought it would be good, like again to look back in terms of some of these other like things that we've built out and conversations that you've been having, and sort of some of the different interests that you've been seeing from folks across different industries. Oh, cool!
Hey, nice. Look at that! She made it happen. So we'll post this somewhere, but basically, right? Which is like incredibly small to see here, but it's like, it's sort of in columns of Algorand, Base, Cardano, Ethereum, Polygon, Solana, and then by sort of buckets of I think it's like user acquisition. I can't read it. It's like too tiny on my screen, but basically sort of, bracketed.
And I maximized it. So you got user onboarding and access is the first one.
Yeah.
Then it's user acquisition and growth systems. Then it's mass media formats, fungible, collectible media formats, non-fungible, distribution and monetization features, and then creator self-publishing portal.
Yeah. So obviously there's some red on here. There's some yellow stuff where it's like, that stuff's kind of like half done or in progress. But a lot of green, right? And the crazy thing too about all the green is like, it's not like we do these things once. It's like all these things require ongoing maintenance or updates So, I mean, it's feeling like far exceeds like a normal, hey, we're this one, company and we're on this one blockchain and we do this one thing. Like it's a tremendous amount of infrastructure, but that's what we're trying to build, right? We're trying to build the infrastructure for digital media. So this is sort of the requirement, right?
Yeah. And so I think we're going to see more of this, right? Where like, if you look at, where do we even have promo codes on here? Let's see.
They're on there somewhere. But
single use redemption codes and multi-user redemption codes. Yeah. So to your point, if you were to just take that one column under user acquisition and growth systems, single use redemption codes, and just slice that across, we could probably do only that for like the rest of time, and think about like all the folks that you're talking to and just like onboard just that, not to mention any of these other things that we already do. So yeah, really, really cool stuff. So yeah, so along those lines, any other
I was trying to figure out how I could draw on this, but I guess I can.
Yeah. Any other stuff that you want to talk through in terms of some of the interesting conversations that you've been having, and some of these other features that different folks have been interested in?
I mean, I got a couple other things. Along with that, it's like, I mean, it is a really good time of the year where we're kind of like looking at reprioritizing. So, as we head towards just in between the holidays is always like, I actually enjoy that time because it's like people are in and out or on vacation. So it gives me like more time to really focus and think, and not necessarily have downtime, but to just have like focused, like meditative kind of time, which is great. So just like looking at like kind of macro priorities, like how we organize resource and do all those sorts of things. But one thing I did want to mention, just along with like live streaming stuff, like Sheila's been great. Lucia's been awesome. Like we're going to start doing more live stream content, heavier focus on outreach, talking to all these labels and entities and really helping educate them on how they can sell, digital media direct to consumer. Because I think it's, we've definitely been, Twitter focused, I think, probably rightly so from a, Web3 crypto standpoint, but from a business standpoint, the opportunity, on LinkedIn, the opportunity to expand outside on a lot of these other platforms and reach a lot more people is huge, right? So then I have just like a total tangent I can share if you want to hear it, and then I've got one thing that I want to, my a world premiere thing that I want to share. It's
Okay.
not that exciting, but
Well, we've got 22 minutes, so you're gonna time box your
so we
tangents.
don't have to do we don't have to do 22. We don't have to do 22 minutes. But I got my and not hating on streaming media, because I think a lot of times people think we're trying to say streaming media is bad. I'm totally pro streaming media. I think it's fantastic for discovery, and it's great. It's like
I think yeah. While you're loading that up, I think too, like what I always tell people, because the first question people get is like, well, do you really think you're going to get people off of streaming, whatever else? And I think the big thing I always tell people to think about is like, it's a classic example of like market segmentation, right? Like when you're on a flight and you're flying from, Dallas to Germany or whatever, right? Like that same flight, every seat on that flight, they're all going from Dallas to Germany. But it's the same reason why some people are willing to pay like, $900, and some people are willing to pay $5,000, right? And the difference is that like for those people paying $900, like I want to pay the least amount possible and get to Germany. And for other people, like, well, I want to be able to like lay down fully, and I want to have a really nice meal, and I want to feel comfortable and feel well rested when I get there, right? And so I think that's exactly what it is, right? And you've talked about this a bunch of times, where it's, we're not supposing that we're going to replace streaming. It's just that we let the market segment itself between that casual listener will always do streaming only. And then like in different tiers of dedicated fans, they're going to look for different ways they can engage and own things that are like from that
100%.
standpoint.
I think it's, streaming to me is like it's FM radio for for people that were, born in the 20th century.
Well, and it's still around, right? It's like it's still there. It's still playing. People are still doing it. Like
I don't know who. I don't ever listen to the radio. I don't even know that I have a radio to listen to. But that's my, it's basically my Spotify. Anyway, my Spotify. I got my what's it called? My Wrapped year in review or whatever the hell.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought this was funny because I had a Snoop song. But if I go in here and show this, right?
Yep.
And then I get to my minutes listened, right? It's like 30,000 minutes, right? So let me turn it down. I was very happy that Snoop made it onto my my yearly list. But so if you take the 30,000 minutes, right, which I listen to Spotify, a decent amount, but not like, I'm sure there's people on here that like break 100,000. So if I take my 30,000 minutes that let me pull up my calculator again because I forgot. 30,000 minutes, right? So let's see. I need to be able to show my calculator big. 30,000 minutes, and I divide that. So let's say every song is only 2 minutes long, right? Which is probably pretty generous because a lot of songs are, 3 minutes or 4 minutes long. But let's say every song was 2 minutes long. So that's 15,000 songs I listened to last year. If that pays out, it does pay out to the artist at 0.003 cents per stream. That's $45.
Yeah.
Right. So my entire year of listening to Spotify equated to $45 of money that actually got paid to artists. Right. Meanwhile, I'm on like, I have kids, so I'm on a family plan. So I'm paying like the $19.99 a month for my membership. So I multiply that by 12, it's $240, right? So I minus out the $45. So it means artists got paid $45. Spotify got paid $194, right? And then of the, like when I scrolled through there, it's like I think I listened to something like 2,300 artists or something. It's like $45 across the entire year. It's like I didn't even the people that I listened to the absolute most with a song on repeat, like they didn't even make $1 from me. That's insane,
right?
Like
whereas then Spotify
I'd be happy
made
to buy it from
$200
them for $1,
right?
It's kind of wild. Like when you really sit down and do the math behind it, it's kind of funny that they put out the data. It's like I think it's fun, and it's I think they're looking at the data obviously in a different slant than I am. I'm looking at the data in a way where it's like, hey, this is cool data and it's fun to see what I listen to. Also, though, knowing the mechanics of like how the industry works, it's like you're giving me the data to show me like point blank like how you took the vast majority of all the money from artists and how they basically got nothing from me.
Yeah.
Which is not what I want or am trying to get, I obviously don't want to screw the artist, right? So um yeah, it's pretty fascinating really when you start to think about it and what our technology really enables, right? Kind of going full circle back to, Song Token, right? Where Jury's able to come in every week, sell a new song, right? He's made more money. He's made way more money off of me than any artist that I listen to on Spotify.
Mm-hmm.
Even if I showed up once and bought one song, that's crazy, So, uh, anyway, all right, we almost done. I've got one more thing to share.
You're good, man.
So I've been working on we're gonna print the white paper as a book. Like we printed, I don't think I have any of them in here, but we printed the old white paper like as a little like 4x6 like actual book, right? Because one of our investors is Ingram Content. They're the world's largest physical book distributor. Amazing printing capabilities. So we're printing these. We're gonna sell them in our merch store. And then really what I want to have is like a bunch of them just to be able to hand out at events and stuff. So I made a cool cover for it. Here, I'll send it to Sheila so she can put it up, and then maybe I'll post it on my Twitter. Let's see, where's it at? Here we go. So we're kind of packaging it up in a way that I think this kind of goes to also into what we're wanting to do from a live streaming standpoint is just put out more content, right? It's like
Mm-hmm.
I think our ability on TikTok and LinkedIn and Twitch and like a lot of these places where we can connect directly with creators is huge. Yeah, so here's the cover, right? So I'm calling it unscrewing digital media, rebuilding ownership from the file up. And so this is basically a wrapper for the stuff.io version 2 white paper. And yeah, it'll be a paperback book. I can't remember how many pages it is, but yeah, it'll be available on merch.stuff.io once we get them. So this is just the cover art. We finished it. The interior book file was finished, but we had some couple formatting changes that Mansky's team is working on, and we're going to drop this book. Hopefully, I don't know. We'll probably do. We'll get it out before the end of the year, but it won't be available if you're trying to buy it for your kid's stocking, which is probably not appropriate for them to read. I don't know. Maybe it is. I don't think there's anything terrible in there. It might change.
I don't think
you're gonna
so.
red pill your kids with our white paper. But yeah, that's what it looks like.
That's awesome.
It's your first time you get to see it, right? What do you think?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. No, it's very cool.
Okay. We're talking about maybe doing like some podcast content around just like the podcast would be called Unscrewing Digital Media.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Kind of fun. Anyway, awesome. Thanks, Sheila. All right. What else do we got? I haven't been looking at any of these.
I didn't see any questions come in.
Okay. Nobody has any questions.
Yeah. I think we just probably, if you got nothing else, I think we just call it early. I mean, it was a short month.
Yeah, it's true.
From the last time we got together. It's this time of year too. It gets dark so early. I'm gonna have to definitely get my lights going again from when I used to do live streams because it's pretty dark.
You need some professional lighting in there. It's starting to look creepy.
Mm-hmm. Well, you don't like my haunted house lighting behind me? Yeah. I have like these little lights that I used to use, but they're like unplugged and everything. We'll have better lighting next month. It's a work in progress.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I mean, this is our first time out, so give us some grace. So, but it looks like it worked. Sheila says everything's good. It looks like we're actually streaming to everything, which is fantastic. So
that's awesome.
Yeah,
cool.
Great. I appreciate everybody being here. Appreciate all the supporters. And we'll be back next month for this broadcast. I think tomorrow we're doing Mansky and Sheila are doing a Win newsletter stream. So hop on for that. We'll get more. Oh, and the new stuff Fridays too that we started doing. So we're dropping, all the new media drops on Fridays. Look at that. She already had it ready to go. It's like, man, Yeah, new stuff Friday. We're trying to this is one thing we kind of got out of the that show in LA was like, hey, we really need to, start having top 10 lists on the homepage. We need to start having all of our media go out on Friday. So trying to, not just do new music, but all the new stuff, books, music, movies, everything. So, yeah, that'll happen Friday. They'll be on tomorrow to talk about it. And I think they have an interview with an artist that they're going to play too that they just did. Yeah, it's good stuff. So that's all I can think of, man.
Sweet. Well, hey, Happy New Year, everybody. Thanks for joining us every month. And we will do this again in 2026.
I'm going to say Merry Christmas because I think you can say that now. Again.
I think you were always allowed to say it.
I don't know. I think there's a time where I wasn't supposed to say it.
All right, well, Merry Christmas, Josh.
Merry Christmas to you, Guillermo.
Hey,
and
Happy New Year, everybody.
Whatever. Yeah. All right. Thanks, guys.
Later.
Later.